So, what defines a great pose? Posing is something also that takes a lot of practice. It's like drawing or painting. You're not gonna be a great you're not going to have great posing skills from the get-go. So what is a line of action? Line of action is a line that goes through your entire character and that defines your entire pose. And I chose this image because I think it has actually a really great line of action. Let me just create a new layer so I can draw on it. See that nice little curve that flows through the body, and you can see that all the energy that's in that pose revolves around that line of action, right? So basically, in a pose, most of the time you're gonna have one principal line of action which you have to determine and follow. Like for an example, this one right there, right? And on top of these, you're gonna have also some auxiliary lines of action, if I may call them this way, and that's right there. And those poses against one another kind of create a little bit of dynamic, a little bit of energy to it. How about this one, for an example, which is also a great Kung Fu pose from Kung Fu Panda. Woo! And here they take advantage of the tail also to continue that line and make it into something really interesting, and also be like this if you want. But I think it's nice to well, the principal line of action is there, and this one, the tail, is kind of a prolongation of that line of action, and it really flows out of it here. And actually, that line with the tail, you could even interpret it like that. So, default curve, let's draw something like this. All right, you know, it's a curve. It could be a line of action, but it's kind of bland because it's really even. You know, it doesn't have much energy going on. While if you want some energy, if you want to add some energy, why not just having an accent on that curve so that it's not as regular? You know, maybe for an example, this one here, you got a lot of energy going on here because you have that unevenness, and that is kind of the accent of the curve. So that versus that is already a lot more interesting, right? And you could also do the reverse thing like that, for an example, which is always better than that very straight, even line. Doesn't have to be just a line, just a curve. It could also be a curve with an angle. Sometimes, like, and that kind of stuff adds energy to it when you've got those little angles and shoot that shoot in another direction. How about this? Ooh, that's a character that I know quite well, even though I didn't animate a lot of shots with her. But see that nice line of action that she has right there, which some may think, yeah, it's a really even line of action like that, but when you look at it closer, no. So here it's you would think it's a bland, really regular curve, but no, there's really something going on there. Actually, a push that direction. And so see, like, that pose is really awesome, and that's a great example of actually all those lines of action flowing together. I mean, the main line of action for that character would be just like that, right? And so that pretty much defines the direction your character is going to. Yeah. So you got that line that defines the arms, and you got that leg, which is really following along the same line, and that does a little dip right there, but you see how all these lines flow one against another and just create that kind of momentum that you want to have, especially on those big action poses where you need to have a lot of dynamic. The one character, which is the Invisible Man, and the problem with the Invisible Man is that you only see the glasses, which in a shot makes him, when he's not like really close to the screen and in the foreground, which makes it sometimes hard to to localize in your shot. So basically, we got some lines of action here that help you direct your eye, like this one for an example. And Dracula's, you got that line of action that's already leaning towards here, and then you've got his eye direction. And remember about what we talked, I think in 2 classes ago, where the eye direction is also a really good help in in directing the audience's eye, because the first thing as an audience that you register in a shot is people's faces and the eyes in particular. And so where a character is looking, usually you're going to want to look. So all these combined, they aim toward this area, which makes you able to localize the Invisible Man a lot more easily. Actually, we could talk about this guy's also eye direction that's pointing at him as well, right? Is that understood? Next topic, which is all about having clear and simple shapes. So basically it's going to be triangle, sphere, round, and square. And most of the time, I just personally found that the triangle is the one that you find most of the time. Here, for an example, it's obviously a triangle, nice triangle, right? And it's clean, and you can see that whoever animated it paid great attention to shaping it really like a triangle. Look at what we have here. We have those two curves opposing each other, and then you've got these characters looking at each other too, which in your unconsciously you kind of connect the dots with characters looking somewhere and looking into each other. So you have the premises of a circle going on there. It's a really beautiful composition. Got a big, nice square composition, right? It's so it was helped being defined by the arms, of course, and the edge of Frankenstein and Dracula's head being totally horizontal. Within a character where you're gonna try and shape parts of the body to be simple shapes that connect into one another. So here Wreck-It Ralph, which is a very square character, especially his hands, that's his character design. You've got a nice blocky rectangle square going on here, while here you've got the rest of his body shaped like it's a circle, right? So basically that pose is just about 2 strong simple shapes, on top of having a really subtle line of action on the face. Well, yeah, kind of subtle. If you look at his brows, it looks at first sight it looks like his brows are like just dead flat, right? But no, actually they're not. Look at it. You've got one that's slightly more down than the other one, and really, really slightly. Oops. See, and then you got that eye. If you look at it closely, that eye is actually just a tad more open than that eye. And then with the line of action, they kind of opened the face and they tilted the nose and the mouth. So once again, closed on that side, open on that side. Asymmetry is really nice. I love it. So basically here, there was a lot that was done to push the pose from shortening Dracula's nose right here, because you wanted to feel threatened. All that back cape, we had the ability to actually shape the cape, and then we would hand it over to cloth simulation, and they would just do their cloth simulation based on that shape, so they would retain the shape. But we had to shape the cape for every shot. The color, there was like, I don't know, like 12 controls for the color alone, so that we could like push it. For example, by default it wasn't like that, but the animator pushed it that way back and that way back as well. And on Mavis, I don't know what he did. Maybe he gave it a little more breast than usual. I'm not sure. But it was shaped like crazy. So on top of posing your character with the main controls, there's also a lot of work involved if you work on that kind of rigs in just finishing and getting a silhouette that's really awesome. Same for Dracula. Here in Dracula, by default, that arm pose, it wasn't, with the default arms, it wasn't like that. Actually, if I wanted the hands to be there, the arms would have had to be in perspective. It would have been like that. Once again, going for a simple shape, he wanted that triangle to be in there, right? So what I had to do was just to scale the forearm, the upper arm, to I think it was like 140%, so that they're long enough so that I got that triangle going on.